We are here on a continuation of our final. We were having trouble on May 31st. Mom had been logged in, was in the waiting room, and I admitted her device would never connect up. And then she eventually just fell out, and we attempted to make contact with her, but weren't able to, I think, until after I had released everybody. Anyway, we never got her logged back in, but we reset to today's date to be sure that she could join because it appeared she was having some kind of technical problem that day. So that's why we recessed back on the 31st. And we will go ahead and take announcement. Ms. Taylor is continuing to make the record.
Todd Albee on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, present and ready to continue, Your Honor.
Brooks Barfield appearing for Ms. Smith, present and ready. She is present and ready as well.
Kenner on behalf of the unknown father, I'm present and ready.
Stacy Brown on behalf of the child.
Bill Taylor for Mark Roper. I'm ready.
When we recessed testimony before the 31st, I have a note that Mr. Barfield had just passed his witness, Ms. Smith, to Mr. Albee.
Great.
And Your Honor, I would ask that the rule be invoked.
Your Honor, that plays into what I was going to request next. I have one witness who I would actually be calling as a rebuttal witness. However, I'd ask to be allowed to take her out of turn at this time to get her on her way. She was present on the 31st when we were reconvened. She's been here for some time today. I don't anticipate that her testimony will take but just a few minutes, and that would allow me to get her in and out.
And that's Ms. Haygood, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
I have no objection.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
Okay. I think we even briefly talked about that on the 31st. So, Mr. Albee, I'm going to allow you to go ahead and call her out of order.
Ms. Haygood, I had to ask you, how are you employed? If you would repeat that for me, please.
Yeah, sure. I'm the COO of Strong Arm Security. I am Mrs. Smith's ex-employer.
And Strong Arm Security is located in Houston, Texas.
That's correct.
And you said you were Miss Smith's ex-employer. When did Miss Smith work for you?
I believe she started. I should have looked for this stuff. I believe she started in March, April or May, and it was only for about 2 or 3 weeks.
Right. On May 24th, she testified, or there was evidence present that she worked for a couple of weeks from about the 11th of April towards the end of April. Would that be about right?
That's about right, yes.
And during that period of time, what type of work was she doing?
Well, she was a level 2 officer. She was hired to patrol a truck yard here about 15 minutes from her office. And she just was there. It's just a security building. Just sit there.
And your previous answer was that she only worked for you for a short period of time. Do you know how long exactly she worked for you?
I can either look it up. It wasn't. The only reason I said it was about 3 weeks because she only did one payroll. We pay biweekly. So the exact dates I don't have in front of me at this moment, but I do know it was for 3 weeks.
All right. And so if she started the first or middle part of April, she would have been done by the 1st of May.
Yes. Well, let me see. Okay. She was employed by us on 4/24. And she was terminated May the 11th.
And she is not working for you currently.
No, sir, she's not.
She has not worked for you since May the 11th.
No, sir, she hasn't.
And do you have a record there of why she was terminated from your employment?
Yes, sir, I do.
And what was that?
I would say failure to perform her duties. I believe that I don't really know her, but I believe that she showed up on time, but the schedule did not fit into her life at the moment. It was it was hard for her to stay awake. Let's just say that. So I don't think that it was a good fit at the time.
Thank you, Ms. Haygood. That's the only questions I need. I appreciate it. I'll pass witness.
Absolutely.
I have no questions, Jeff.
Mr. Taylor?
No question, Your Honor.
All right, and Ms. Naranjo?
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Grant?
Briefly, Ms. Haygood, the previous testimony in this case consisted of a couple of paychecks from Strong Arms Security.
Yes, ma'am.
And those paychecks had a reference on them to the name Kimberly, but that is not a person. Is that correct?
That's correct, ma'am. That's the location of the property. It was Kimberly Street.
Perfect. And so they were, in fact, the paychecks that belonged to Miss Smith, and they consisted of 2 weeks worth of pay. Would you agree?
Yes, ma'am.
And was she attempting to work a night shift schedule at the time she was employed for you?
Yes, ma'am.
And she would be rehireable for you possibly in a different capacity someday if you had a better fit shift. Would that be true?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I believe security is a very hard job anyway. 12-hour shifts is very strenuous on someone, especially when you have other obligations. So absolutely, she will definitely be up to rehire, but it definitely has to be an understanding of her schedule and to make sure that schedule fits in her lifestyle.
And you would also want her to go through the formal hiring process and background checks, and in order to be rehired if she decided to attempt to do that at some point, correct?
Absolutely.
In fact, when she was employed last time, it was the CEO who did the hiring, and so the COO process was, by no fault of anyone's, kind of truncated because the CEO made a on-the-spot decision. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But just to clarify and simplify, if Miss Smith testified on May 24th that she was employed by you, that was incorrect. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am. Her last date was 5/11.
Thank you, Ms. Haygood, for appearing, and I appreciate the time you've spent today.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Allen?
No further questions of this witness, Your Honor.
All right. Last chance. Anybody have any other questions for Ms. Haygood?
No, Your Honor.
May Ms. Haygood be excused, please, Your Honor.
Anybody have any objection to that?
No objection.
Objection, Judge.
No objection.
All right, Ms. Haygood, thank you so much for your patience and for logging in with us several times now. We appreciate you. You are free
Absolutely.
to go on about your day.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
So, Mr. Alley, I think then we need to pick back up with your cross-examination.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Smith.
Does Ms. Smith need to be re-sworn, or are we good with just going?
Ms. Smith, you are still under oath.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right. Ms. Smith, you are the mother to Bob's, the child, the subject of this case.
Correct.
And Bible's how old?
3.
And how old was Bible when he was removed from your care?
He was 2.
and he was removed from your care in the last part of May of 2022. Is that correct?
Correct.
At that time, you were arrested
That is correct.
and you were incarcerated in the Carson County Jail.
Yes, sir.
You were incarcerated in Carson County for how long?
August 1st.
And you were arrested for stolen vehicle or unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And at the time that you were arrested, the testimony was that Bible was in the car, even though the car was parked at a convenience store. Bible was in the car and was not in a car seat. Is that correct?
No, I don't recall testimony for that.
All right. Do you remember if Bible was in a car seat when you were arrested?
No, sir, we weren't in the car.
When you were driving that car, was there a car seat in the car for Bible?
I don't recall being in the car.
Okay. And the car that you were driving wasn't your vehicle?
No, the car for the charge for the unauthorized use of a motor vehicle is not my vehicle.
And is it, in your opinion, safe for a 2-year-old to be involved in an unauthorized use of a motor vehicle episode?
In my opinion, no.
So that would have put Bible in danger.
In my opinion, yes.
Okay. Is that charge in Armstrong County still pending?
That charge in Armstrong County is still pending.
And you are on bond for that charge?
I am on bond for that charge.
And in May, there was a warrant for your arrest for a bond surrender. Is that still pending?
That is still pending.
So you're subject to going back to jail at this time?
I don't have knowledge of that.
Do you have a pending criminal charge out of the Dallas or Fort Worth area?
No.
I'm sorry?
No, sir.
Okay. You don't have any pending bonds out of Dallas or Fort Worth?
No, sir.
When was the last time that you actually had in-person contact with Bible?
Our in-person visit was January.
And how many in-person visits have you had with Bible
One.
since he was removed from you in May of 2022?
I've had one.
Do you feel that that is a negative for your child? Is it detrimental to him that you've only had one face-to-face visit with your child?
I feel that is very scarce.
Okay. And would you agree with me that you have missed at least 5 visits that were scheduled with Bible?
Could you repeat the question?
Would you agree with me that you've missed at least 5 scheduled visits with Bible?
No, I would not agree with you. They weren't scheduled. No.
If the testimony was that your visits with your child were canceled because you wouldn't contact the St. Francis Ministries permanency specialist. Is that incorrect or correct?
Could you repeat your question?
If the testimony was that you missed a number of visits with Bible because you failed to contact timely the St. Francis Ministries permanency specialist, is that correct or incorrect?
Any missed visit was because of lack of communication. Yes, sir.
Do you think it's your job to make sure that you contact the St. Francis Ministries permanency specialist so that you can get those visits?
That was my responsibility. Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you think that it's detrimental to Bible that he's not had those visits?
I'm not, my opinion on that is not, I'm not clear on how he felt at the time with those visits being missed.
Okay. Did you know that Bible had early childhood intervention beginning in June of 2022?
Early childhood intervention.
Yeah. ECI counseling.
Speech. Yes.
And did you know that that was for social emotional development, behavioral therapy, speech and social emotional skills? Do you know those were the things that were worked on?
I'm aware of that.
Do you think that the reason they had to have those was because of your lack of parenting skills?
I'm going to object to the nature of the question. I think that calls for an expert opinion, and I don't believe Ms. Smith is a qualified expert in that field.
She can comment on her own parenting skills, so I'm going to overrule the objection. She's just commenting on her own.
As long as it's lay testimony, Your Honor, that's really what my objection is.
Could you repeat the question?
Do you believe that it's your lack of parenting skills that caused your son to have this early childhood intervention beginning a month after he was removed from your care?
No, I don't believe that.
Are you currently employed?
No, not currently.
And you testified on May the 24th that you were currently employed, but that was in fact false.
I'm sorry, April 24th?
May 24th, when we had our hearing before. You testified that you were still working for Strong Arm, but that's in fact false.
My last day was the 11th, 19th. Yeah.
You didn't tell us that, did you?
No, sir. No,
Okay.
no.
And were you released from that job because you were sleeping on the job?
Because of the hours, yes, sir.
You testified that you completed a parenting class. Is that correct?
Yes, I have a certificate for that.
Did you check to see before you completed that parenting class if it met the requirements of the parenting class that you were asked to complete?
Yes, I did check up on it.
Did you contact Miss McIntyre, the St. Francis Ministries permanency specialist, before taking that class?
Yes, I did.
And did she approve that class?
She did say as long as it followed the guidelines of her parents' plan.
And did it?
To my knowledge, yes.
Great. If the parenting plan said that you had to take a lengthy parenting class, if you struck that, but you believe that the parenting class that you took met the requirements in your parenting plan?
Yes.
Did the parenting class that you took, did it focus on co-parenting with another spouse or another parent of a child?
Yes.
You're not co-parenting Bible, or you don't plan on co-parenting Bible with someone who's not living in your household, do you?
No, sir, I did not.
So that really doesn't meet with what the circumstances are that we're here today on, does it?
I'm not clear on your what's the question?
All right. The type of parenting class that you took doesn't really fit the circumstances for which we're here and that you were asked to take a parenting class for, does it?
It does.
And did you go to counseling classes with the Jennings group, either, with Jennings Counseling?
Yes, I did.
Did you complete that counseling?
No, sir.
And then were you asked to start again with Dirk Milam?
Yes.
Did you complete that counseling?
No, I did not.
And were you asked to complete an OSAR evaluation or a typical evaluation as to whether or not you're dependent on illegal substances?
Yes.
Judge, I don't know if it matters, but we lost Mr. Taylor just now.
Okay, yeah, it does matter. So we need to just wait. I was just looking to see who on the list fell out. You may.
Thank you. Ms. Smith, do you think that it's important in this case for you to have an evaluation on your substance abuse addictions?
Yes, it is important.
But it wasn't so important that you went ahead and completed that, correct?
I've had it completed. Yes, sir.
When?
It was completed when I started working with Miss Harris, Miss Montre Harris. She referred me to Miss Alice Edwards, and she completed that for me.
What were the recommendations of that when you completed it? Because I haven't seen it.
I don't believe that she got around to sending it out to everyone. I haven't received a copy of it myself.
Your Honor, objection to the response is hearsay at this point, if she goes any further, since she's speaking for the submitter of the evaluation at this point.
Sustained, she can say she never got a copy of it, but.
Right.
Ms. Smith, who is this that supposedly conducted this evaluation?
She's Miss Alice Edwards.
Mr. Abbey, you know who that is?
I do not. I can assume that it was a worker or an evaluator in the Houston area, Your Honor, but I'm not aware of that evaluation or what the response was. So
Is that correct, Ms. Smith? Is somebody in Houston?
Yes, ma'am. Miss
Did you
Montre
just-
Harris referred her to me.
Who did?
Miss Montre Harris.
that was one of the case,
Workers, yes.
courtesy workers down in Houston, Your Honor, Montre Harris.
Okay.
And I haven't seen that evaluation, and so I'll proceed further, Your Honor.
Okay.
Now, Ms. Smith, is it true that you tested positive for methamphetamines on August the 26th of 2022?
I don't recall.
Okay. You told me that you were arrested at the end of May and were housed in the Carson County Jail until August the 1st. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And then you used methamphetamines between the time you were released from jail and on August 1st, and when we took your hair follicle test on August the 26th?
Incorrect.
You didn't use?
No, sir.
So if that's positive, it's from prior to you being arrested at the end of May.
That is correct.
You tested positive for methamphetamines on a UA on September the 21st of 2022. Were you using methamphetamines then?
That was correct.
You tested positive for opiates when you didn't have a prescription in October of 2022. Is that true?
That was correct.
In February of 2023, the court ordered you to take a hair follicle test, and it was positive for methamphetamines. Were you using in February of this year?
No, sir.
When were you using between September and February? September of 2022 and February 2023. When did you use?
I don't recall at this time.
Were you using more than once a month?
I don't recall at this time.
You don't recall if you were using methamphetamines more than one time a month from September through February less than a year ago.
No, sir.
You've been asked to UA 2 other times, once in April and once in May, that you just didn't go, right?
There was miscommunication. That's correct.
You didn't go do a hair follicle test in May either, did you?
That was a miscommunication. I didn't receive the message. That's correct.
Do you believe that you placed Bible in danger in May of 2022 when you were unlawfully using a motor vehicle?
Your Honor, I'm going to object, ask and answer.
I'll withdraw.
But I'm not sure that's exactly what was asked. I'm gonna allow her to answer the question.
All right, I'll ask it again then. Ms. Smith, do you believe that you placed Bible in danger when you unlawfully were using a motor vehicle in May of 2022?
No, not intentionally. Placed him. No.
Do you agree with me that you have not regularly visited or maintained significant contact with Bible?
No, I don't agree.
The house that you're living in now, in Houston, who do you live with?
My husband,
And who is that?
Menelik Calhoun.
And have you provided information with Mr. Calhoun so that we can run our typical background checks on him?
It has been provided, yes.
Was that provided to Miss McIntyre, your St. Francis Ministries permanency specialist?
That was provided to her, yes.
Do you believe that you have completed all of the orders that the court has made for you to complete?
No, I don't believe I've completed all of them.
Do you believe that those orders were made so that you would have the opportunity to have Bible returned to you?
Yes.
And you will agree with me that Bible was removed from your care because of your own actions.
I was evident, yes.
To this point in time, have you completed any substance abuse treatment programs of any type?
Pertaining to this case?
Yeah, in the last year and month, have you completed any substance abuse treatment program?
Is this including drug assessments?
No, I mean, have you gone to any rehab, either inpatient, outpatient, any of them?
Yes. IOP, SOP, yes.
When did you complete a rehab program?
It's not completed just yet.
Are you in it currently?
Yes.
And where is it at?
It is a IOP for probation.
Is that an outpatient or inpatient?
It's an outpatient.
And when did you start?
I don't have the information with me right now.
How often do you see a counselor?
I have not seen a counselor.
Do you do any group therapy or any therapy on how to avoid using illegal substances?
Group therapy, yes.
When was the last time you went to a group therapy session?
May the 24th.
Is Mark Roper the father?
I'm sorry, June 24th. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Is Mark Roper the father to Bob?
That is his father is it was a relationship that I was in while I was pregnant, yes.
Is he biologically the father?
No.
Who is the biological father?
An old friend of mine that I haven't had contact with.
Do you think it's important that we know that the judge knows that in this kind of a case?
For that situation, no, I don't.
You're not going to tell me his name.
He's a Dominguez, O'Brien or Dominguez.
Do you know where he lives?
No, I do not.
What is his name again?
O'Brien Dominguez.
And Ms. Smith,
Mhm.
how many times has someone with St. Francis of the department asked you for the identity of the father of this child?
Once.
Once?
Yes.
And what did you tell them?
The same information I'm giving to you now.
O'Brien Dominguez?
Yes, Daniel O'Brien Dominguez.
Daniel O'Brien Dominguez.
Yes.
And he
All
was.
You hang on.
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on. All right. I have a note that reflects she had filed a child support case at one point in time and had named Daniel Dominguez, but never followed up on that child support case.
No, I didn't.
She reported that Mr. Dominguez was in Amarillo somewhere, but I guess he hadn't had contact with them or with the child. So, council, let's have a bench conference. Okay. All right, Ms. Smith, if you'll unmute for me.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, everybody. We held a bench conference about this. So, Ms. Smith, we had the Daniel Dominguez name. Ms. Naranjo had done a search for Daniel Dominguez. But you mentioned a very kind of unique middle name, which was O'Brien, which might give her the ability to find an individual. I mean, she turns up some, probably thousands and thousands of Daniel Dominguez's. So we're gonna go ahead and complete testimony the best that we can today. I'm going to give Ms. Naranjo a little bit of time to try to locate anybody with that unique middle name, if we can, and she will file a sworn affidavit with the court whether she's able to locate or not locate. If she's not able to locate, then I will rule in the case. If she does locate Mr. Daniel O'Brien Dominguez, then we will have to resume a hearing and maybe other stuff. So, but because we didn't have that middle name, I'm not comfortable just pronouncing a ruling until she's had some opportunity to look. So, you know, we may have a short delay, but in getting a final ruling, but it's probably not going to be long. So, I just kind of want everybody to know what's going on. So we're going to do our best to finish testimony right now. Then we'll just recess until Ms. Narana has a little bit of time. Okay. All right, Mr. Albee.
Ms. Smith, Daniel O'Brien Dominguez, does he reside in Amarillo, or the last time you knew him, did he reside in Amarillo?
Yes.
And approximately how old a gentleman is he?
30.
And when you previously knew him, what type of work did he do?
Car maintenance.
Do you know if he was working at any particular place when you knew him?
No, I do not.
Do you know any of what his parents' name were? Excuse me. Do you know what his parents' names are?
His mother's name, I believe, is Dorothy.
Do you know if he has other children?
He does not.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. I just have a couple of questions about your evaluation that you took with Ms. Edwards in Houston.
Yeah.
The date on a document that I have says that you took that evaluation on May 18th of 2023. Does that sound correct?
What evaluation was it?
This is the substance abuse evaluation that you told me you took.
It sounds remotely correct. Yes.
Okay, and that was with Miss Alice Edwards.
That was Alice Edwards. Yes.
Okay, and if I told you that the date that I'm showing that you did that was May 18th of 2023, is that correct?
Sounds remotely. Yes.
In this document that I'm reading, it says that you admitted to using within just outside of 2 months of that. So you were using in March of 2023.
That's incorrect.
The recommendations on this are that you receive individual substance use counseling or therapy sessions. Is that correct?
I'm sorry. What's the question?
The recommendations from Miss Edwards were that you receive individual substance use counseling or therapy sessions.
Yes, that is correct.
And she recommended 8 units. Correct?
I don't recall.
How many counseling sessions have you gone to?
According to Alice
How-
Edwards recommendations, or
Yes, ma'am. According to Alice Edwards' recommendations, how many individual substance abuse counseling sessions?
according to her recommendations, I don't recall.
So you haven't been to any counseling, individual substance abuse counseling sessions since Miss Edwards made her recommendations?
Not for Edwards, no.
Pass witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Barfield.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sheeta, I have some questions for you.
You know what? I'm sorry. That was Mr. Albee's cross. You
Okay,
are-
yeah,
Hang on. Let me
okay,
just,
I
I apologize.
Yeah, no,
Mr.
that's fine.
Mr. Taylor, any questions?
Just a couple, Your Honor.
Okay.
Ms. Smith, have you had any contact whatsoever with Mr. Roper since Bible was removed from your care?
I have not.
Did you provide all of the information you are aware of on how to contact Mr. Roper to the caseworker?
Yes, to the best of my knowledge, yes.
So there's nothing else that you know how you might be able to contact him
No, sir.
other than what you provided?
No, sir.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. And Ms. Ronho?
Thank you, Your Honor. Do you have any phone numbers for Mr. Dominguez?
No, I do not.
Do you have an address for Mr. Dominguez?
I do not.
Did he live at an apartment or something when you knew him?
No.
So he lived at a house?
With his mother, yes.
Do you know what neighborhood? You said his mom's name was Dorothy. Is that spelled Dorothy?
I believe so. I'm not so sure.
And is her last name also Dominguez?
I believe so. I'm not sure.
Does Daniel have any siblings?
Yes.
Who are his siblings?
I cannot recall their names.
Would their last names also be Dominguez?
I believe so. Yeah.
Have you reached out to Mr. Dominguez at all?
I have not. No.
You said Mr. Dominguez is about 30 years old?
Yes.
Okay. And you said he was a coordinator. Do you know where at?
I'm sorry. What was the question?
You said that he was a coordinator. Do you know where?
No, a car mechanic.
Car mechanic. Oh, sorry.
I don't know where.
Do you remember having a child support case with him?
I remember. Yes.
And was that in Potter County?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Smith, if I recall, we talked about this once before, but that child support case never resulted in a final order, did it?
No, ma'am. I don't believe it did.
Ms. Smith, what high school did he graduate from?
I'm not for sure.
Ms. Smith, if would you agree with me that the services that you've represented that you have completed were started fairly late in your case for various reasons?
No, I wouldn't agree with you. I started them as soon as I bonded out. It got completed late.
Okay. What was the delay in taking the evaluation with Alice?
Finding services here in Houston, relocating here. I wasn't provided with a list of where I could find the services to start back up again. So,
Okay. Well, do you have Tasia McIntyre's telephone number?
yes, I do.
And if you needed services, are you aware that she is the person you should contact?
Yes, we did talk about it.
Okay. And are you aware that, and I'm sorry, what is Miss Alice's last name, Miss Smith?
Edward.
Edwards. What is are you aware that Miss Edwards is not a contracted provider for your, for CPS cases?
No, I'm not aware of that.
Okay. Did you pay out of pocket for your evaluation?
I did pay out of pocket for it, yes.
Okay. Were you aware that had you contacted Miss McIntyre that she would have provided you with a qualified provider and that would have been potentially paid for you?
Ms. McIntyre was contacted and she did not provide any information for me.
Okay. Do you have a service plan in this case?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Have you signed that service plan?
Yes, I have signed one.
Do you recall what date you signed it?
I do not recall.
Okay. But you've had it for a while. Would you agree with me?
Yes.
Okay. Do you understand the importance of staying in Bible's life actively if you are seeking to regain custody of him?
Yes, I understand that.
Okay. Can you tell me why you've been unable to meet the requirement of making a 24-hour notification to visit with your child?
No, I cannot tell you that.
Is it not important?
He's very important.
Okay. So do you recall in your previous testimony that there was a time that you found yourself in Dallas and Ms. McIntyre was unaware that you had relocated there? Do you recall that testimony?
Vaguely, yes.
Okay. Do you recall testifying before this court that you intentionally miscommunicated your whereabouts to Ms. McIntyre?
I miscommunicated, yes.
Okay. Is that another word for intentionally telling her incorrect information? Or what is your definition of miscommunicated?
It was a miscommunication as far as understanding with me relocating here to Houston.
Okay. And I'm talking about your relocation to Dallas. Did you tell her when you left here to go to Dallas prior to Houston, or is that not the correct path of travel?
That was incorrect, yes.
Okay. You understand the importance of being forthright in a CPS case?
I'm not clear on what do you mean by the question?
Do you understand how important it is when you're working services and trying to regain custody of your child to be honest?
Yes.
Okay. And so it's always, do you agree with me? It's in Bible's best interest that you be honest so that you can get the services you need to regain custody of your child, correct?
Yes, I understand that, yes.
Do you believe you've been fully honest in this case?
Yes. For the most part, yes.
Okay, for the most part, or yes?
Yes.
Okay, so you don't think it was important to tell us you were unemployed?
That was of importance, yes.
Okay, so you understand that one of the things in a CPS case is you have to be able to provide for Bible, correct?
I understand that, yes.
Okay, so can you tell me if Bible were returned home today, how would you support him?
Financially, yes, he would be supported.
Okay, how would you support Bible?
Yes, I'm going back to work. I have interviews all week.
Okay, where are some of your interviews going to be at this week?
Today there is a security interview for I have the information on my phone. I don't have the information with me.
That's okay, just in generic, it's a security company.
Yes, because I have my level 2, my level 3.
Okay. Is there any reason why you didn't try to go back to a different shift at Strong Arm since you're eligible for rehire there?
Because of the shift schedule,
Would a day shift not job there work for you?
I haven't discussed it with her.
Okay. Is that something you're interested in pursuing?
It would be of some interest, yes.
Okay. Are you able to provide a home for Bible?
Yes.
Okay. Do you reside in that home with people that you've been unwilling to subject to the background process?
I don't understand your question.
Are there people that reside in your home with you that you have been unwilling to produce for the background checks that are required by CPS?
That I've been unwilling to produce?
Let me simplify it. Have the people in your home that you reside in now been properly investigated or background checked by CPS?
Yes, to my knowledge, yes.
Okay. Do you does Bible have his own room in that home?
Yes, it does.
And you understand, do you understand that because you have not been active in Bible's visitation that you were awarded, that he could be negatively impacted if you suddenly re-entered his life without any type of services? Do you understand how that could affect a child?
Yes.
So I would ask you, if you do understand how something like that could affect a child, how come you didn't stay in touch with Bible?
We've had our visits, yes. I've stayed in touch with Bible.
Okay, you saw him face to face last January, correct?
Yes, and then I moved to Houston here in February.
Okay. So you haven't visited for 4 months with your child?
Of course not. I have visited every week on the phone. They were virtual.
Okay. And do you feel that's enough parenting to keep a bond with your child?
Oh, of course not. It does need to be physical.
Okay. Do you have an automobile that you could have come and had some visits? I'm sorry,
Yes, I have an automobile.
okay. Could you have made some visits or was it not?
Hang on. I think there's a little delay and I'm losing a lot of Ms. Smith's testimony because she's talking before you finished your question.
Okay, I thought maybe I was seeing that too. So, Ms. Smith, what I'll do is I'll ask my question and then I'll let you take a brief pause before you answer, because I think we have a lag going on of some kind on our technology, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm sorry, Amy, I lost my train of thought, but Ms. Smith, do you understand that the services that you were asked to work were supposed to be done with approved providers?
Yes, I understand that, yes.
Would you not agree that you have kind of built your own methodology for completing your services and chosen your own providers?
No, I would not agree to that, no.
Okay. Is Alice Edwards someone that you had therapy with before she did your evaluation?
No, ma'am.
How did you locate Miss Edwards?
Miss Montre Harris located her.
And that's your courtesy worker in Houston that prior to the current one, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
We were
Well, okay. Well, and Are you aware that courtesy workers are not allowed to refer services? Did she tell you that?
No, she did not.
Okay. Were you here for the previous testimony when Talisha testified to that effect, that courtesy workers cannot refer services?
I didn't hear that part. No.
Okay. If Alice Edwards reported to this court that you admitted using illegal substances 2 months prior to the evaluation on May 18th, do you have any reason to believe that she would lie about that?
I don't. I never admitted to that.
Okay. Do you recall during your assessment by Miss Edwards being asked a series of historical questions regarding your life all the way back to your childhood regarding substance abuse?
They go all the way back. Yes.
Okay. And did you report a lengthy history?
Yes.
When is the last time you were drug tested?
My last drug test was
And let me clarify my question. When is the last time you were drug tested by any entity, not just CPS?
last month.
Was
This
that your
month?
was that a probation officer test?
Yes.
Was it positive?
No, it was negative.
Okay. Was it a UA or a hair strand?
It was a UA.
Okay. When is the last time you had a positive test with your probation officer?
I cannot recall. I don't have that information in front of me.
Have you ever had a positive test with your probation officer?
No, I haven't.
So if you've never had a positive test, how come you couldn't recall?
I misunderstood your question.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Smith, do you think that you would be able to parent Bible differently today than you did a year ago?
Yes.
What would you do differently?
My understanding on his level would be a lot more different.
Okay, where did you gain that understanding?
Through parenting class, some of it.
How many
And
hours was that parenting class?
it was a 24-hour class.
Okay, so was that like on my math? I'm sorry, I've been sick, so don't hold me to my math. But so was that 3 8-hour days, or was it different?
It's self-paced.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think you testified to that. Thank you, ma'am. I do recall that testimony. So it's 24 seat hours, and you did that in a self-paced format at your home computer, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you had no professional assistance or discussion following each module, correct?
No, it was like a self-study. Yes.
Okay. You understand that the CPS classes for parenting are much lengthier than that. Do you understand that at this point?
As far as time frame on it, yes.
Okay. And you understand that you would have been able to have a professional interact with you in those classes. Are you clear on that part?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe that would have been in the best interest of Bible if you would have done it that way?
I believe that a certificate is a certificate, whether self-paced, self-study, or professionally taught.
Okay. What will you do in the future to ensure that you don't expose Bible to drug use?
Of course, I wouldn't use drugs.
Can you just go cold turkey with no treatment?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you done that before?
Yeah.
But it didn't stick, did it?
Yeah, it has.
Okay. And when this case, not when this case began, but last time we were in court, you were referring to your fiance, and then I thought I heard you refer to him as your now husband. Have you married since we were in court on May 24th?
I have married, but there's a ceremony, I believe that's required before it's official.
Okay, so you're ceremonially married, but not legally married yet.
Correct.
Okay. Are you currently expecting another child?
No, ma'am.
Did you post a Facebook post after court last time stating that you were on your way to get Bible?
I don't
Do
recall.
you have your phone there?
Yes, I do have my phone right here.
Would you like to refresh your memory?
I post pictures of Bible all the time. I don't recall me being on the way to get him.
Okay. Would you like to refresh your memory?
Pull up the post.
Would you disagree with me if I represented to you that I have viewed your Facebook page and that post does in fact exist? Do you have any reason to disagree with me if I represent that to you today?
I'm not sure if I would disagree or agree.
Okay. Do you have any intention, if you come here for a face-to-face visit prior to the court's ruling, of leaving or attempting to leave with Bible in your custody?
I'm sorry, what's your question?
Do you have any intention until the court rules of traveling to Amarillo to schedule a face-to-face visit and leaving with Bible without permission? Do you have any intention of doing that?
No.
Was that the spirit of the post, or was it something else? In other
No.
words, the post. Sorry, I don't want to talk over you. In other words, the post was not a threat to do that. Is that correct, ma'am?
No, I wouldn't threat to do that now.
Thank you. Do you believe you've mitigated all of the reasons for why you don't have Bible in your custody today?
Litigated?
Do you believe you've solved all the issues that caused you to lose custody of Bible?
I believe so, yes.
Do you feel it's in his best interest to be returned to you today?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Okay. All right, Mr. Barfield, back to you.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Smith, just a few clarifying points. I believe you testified you are currently looking for new employment. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. And do you have more than one interview set up?
Yes, I do.
You mentioned a security company. What other type of interviews do you have set up?
For housekeeping as well.
Okay. And currently, what did you are living in the home? Are you living in the home with your, I'm going to call it common law husband at this point?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And does he have an income?
Yes, he does.
What does he do?
Mechanical, maintenance technician.
Okay. Now, if you were to get custody of Bible, he wouldn't be on the streets. You wouldn't be homeless. Am I wrong about that?
No, you're not wrong about that. I'm not.
Okay. In the interim, you're hunting for a job.
Yes.
Would you be able to provide food, clothing, and shelter for Bible?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you be able to make sure that he made any medical appointments that he needs?
Yeah.
Would you be able to make arrangements for him if you and your husband were working for daycare?
Yes.
Okay. And are you willing to do that?
Yes, there's a daycare right down the street where we live.
Okay. Now, let's go back to Domingo O'Brien. You understand that's kind of hanging things up at this point. Do you understand that?
I would understand that, yes.
Okay. So the more specific, do you understand the more specific information you can help us with, the better that is for the case?
I do understand that, yes.
Do you recall you meant the street he may have lived on in Amarillo?
I do not know.
Okay. It was off 45th
45th and Ross, yes.
and Ross. Okay. When is the last time you had communication with Mr. Dominguez?
Back in December of 2020. No, 19.
Okay. So it's been a substantial period of time.
Yeah.
Do you know what type of mechanic he was?
Car mechanic.
Car mechanic. Okay. Do you don't recall what shop he worked at?
I do not recall.
Okay. Now, so is it your testimony that Mark Roper is not the biological child? Not God, is not the biological father of Bible?
No, Roper's not.
Okay. Did you provide information to the Attorney General about Mr. Dominguez's location when you brought that Attorney General case?
At that time,
Okay. Now, currently, you had an evaluation with Alice Edwards in Houston. Did I hear that right?
yes,
Okay, and that occurred on May 18th, 2023. Were you sent there by a courtesy worker?
yes,
Okay. At the time you were sent there by a courtesy worker, did you believe that was the same as being sent there from your caseworker?
yes.
Okay. You mentioned you're on probation. What are you on probation for?
It's possession.
Okay. And how long are you on probation?
It's 2 years deferred.
Deferred.
Yes.
And are you, so is it your understanding with deferred that if you do it correctly, the case will be dismissed?
Yes.
How much longer do you have on probation?
A year and 9 months, I believe.
Okay. And from my understanding, are you routinely drug tested as part of probation?
Yes.
Have you failed a drug test for probation?
No.
What is your understanding of the consequences of failing a drug test on probation?
Violation.
And what is your understanding would happen to you if you violated probation potentially?
I'm not so sure about this county, but I know how Amarillo was.
Well, okay, how was Amarillo?
Pretty strict with drug court and things like that. Yeah.
So if you violate, you could go to jail or prison. Is that your understanding?
That's understandable. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to go to prison?
No.
Okay. Now, you were asked about a bond situation in Armstrong County. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Do you have a defense attorney in Armstrong County?
No, I do not.
Okay. Do you know if there's an arrest warrant out for you or not out of Armstrong County?
I have not seen one, no.
Okay. Do you think it might be a good idea to look into getting an attorney to make sure everything's okay in Armstrong County?
To that, yes.
Will you do that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in regards to Ms. Edwards, you mentioned you were asked about counseling sessions. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you stated something to the effect of you hadn't been to counseling based on Miss Edwards' evaluation. Have you been to other counseling sessions for some other entity, say probation or anything else?
Yes.
Okay. What counseling have you had?
along with the AA groups, with IOP, it's I don't know the name of it. It's
Okay, so you've been to AA. Have you been to AA?
yes,
And how often do you go to those sessions? meetings?
like 3 a week.
Okay. Are you currently going to 3 a week?
Yeah.
Okay. Do they seem to be helping?
They're a good group. Yes.
Do you have a sponsor?
Not yet. No.
Okay. How many steps, if any, how many steps have you completed in AA?
I have not started steps. No.
Okay. But okay. Now, is that something you're doing on your own or is it a condition of probation?
It's on my own too. It's a condition also for probation.
Okay. So both.
Yes.
Okay. Does that help you? Does that help you in any way stay focused on your sobriety? Okay. So you have would you say you had some sort of support system in case you feel the urge to use?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you intend, now other than the AA, you mentioned IOP. What is that, a class? Is it a meeting? What is that?
It's a outpatient service. Yes.
How many times have you been to that?
I've spoken with a couple of different companies for it. I've met with one this past month, and we have to exchange like some, because they pay out of pocket for that too. So it's gathering information for my medical and things like that. So.
So you're working on getting those classes started.
Yes.
Okay. Is it your intent to follow through with Alice Edwards' recommendations? In other words, do you intend to go to counseling?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Do you have any other appointments with Alice Edwards?
No.
Do you have any other appointments with any other evaluator or any type of evaluation?
For
drug treatment, other than what we've discussed?
Yes.
Who and when?
I have the information in my phone. It's I don't know if my video went off or not, but
no, you're fine. Are you on your phone?
yes.
Okay, so okay. Okay, well, let's do this right now so we don't lose you. Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay. We
yes.
Okay. And if we need to revisit that's fine. Now, what other things are you having to do for your probation other than, are you having to do community service? What other services? How often are you monitored on probation? How often do you have to go into probation?
Once a month.
Okay. And are you subject to random drug tests?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Barfield, I know you've got a deadline approaching, so do I. So if we aren't done, we'll have to resume, but probably around 2.
I think it would probably be a good idea, probably just to recess now so that I can do what I need to do to be ready at 1, Your Honor. I don't mind just because it's also a Zoom hearing. And so whatever the court wants to do and whatever time the court wants to reconvene, I'm fine with, because I don't want to rush through this testimony.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to get everybody a lunch break and let's just resume about 2 o'clock. I don't know, counsel. I don't know if any of you have been looking at or noticed your chat messages. Ms. Naranjo has located Mr. Dominguez in TDCJ. So I would like to have another bench conference with y'all back. Hang on. All right, I just want to make sure we've got Ms. Smith back and all right, so after bench conference and looking at the, can't remember where we were. Okay. This may be redundant. All right, so on our break, lunch break, Ms. Naranjo was able to locate the alleged father, Domingo O'Brien. Wait a minute, I'm getting it wrong.
O'Brien Daniel Dominguez.
O'Brien, and I think she said Daniel O'Brien Dominguez, but Ms. Naranjo, it's O'Brien
Daniel
Dominguez. In TDCJ, it shows he's 31 years of age. All those markers seem to match up with mom's testimony. So I think that she has successfully located him. So we have not finished this final, so I think we need to plead him in, find out if he wants genetic testing. He automatically qualifies for an attorney since he's in TDCJ. Ms. Katie will appoint someone to represent him so that they can make contact with him post haste. I am going to reset our final hearing for August 22nd at 1 p.m. We'll see where we are with the genetic testing at that point. In all likelihood, that may be a very short hearing just to find that there's good cause to extend beyond the 90 days from when we originally called the case. But since we found out this new information and have actually, he's actually been located, then I think it's pretty clear there's good cause if we have to go beyond the 90 days. So Ms. Smith, what does this mean to you? This means you've got some extra time. The case is still pending. You can still work services. Hope that you will do that. Since we've called the case, there's not a necessity really to review anything, but obviously I'm going to leave the child's current placement in, right where it is. And I'll see everybody back August 22nd.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. Thank y'all very much. And Ms. Smith, I appreciate all the information you were able to give us today. It was very helpful.
Thank you.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Your Honor.